Hi everyone, welcome to Java Techie. So in our last video, we explored Spring Modulith and even built a real-time smart parking system using a proper modular approach, right? So if you remember, we designed the system like this. When a vehicle enters the parking lot, the system find available slot, allocate it, and notify the user with the slot details. Now when the vehicle exit, the slot is freed up, the billing amount is calculated, and again the user is notified with the payment details. So that's the simple project we have created in our last video to achieve modularity. We split each responsibility into individual modules. So if you observe here, for handling vehicle entry and exit, we created an module called entry modules. Similarly, for slot allocation and releasing, we built another module called allocation module. Similarly, for billing and notification, we created separate dedicated modules. And guess what? All of this was done within a monolithic application, but with a clean and modular design. So far, so good. I hope you got a clear idea of how Spring Modulith helps in structuring your project. But hold on, just adding the dependency and organizing packages as a logical modules does not really mean we are enforcing the modular boundaries. In fact, you could do that with the plain Spring Boot too, right? And I believe many of you might have this question. Hey, how do we know we are truly following modular contracts? Well, that's exactly what we are going to discuss in this video. We'll go one step further and explore the real power of Spring Modulith, including enforcing modular boundaries, how you can prevent accidental coupling, enabling runtime observability and architectural documentation, and supporting modular testing out of the box. Trust me, these features will definitely change the way you look at modular design in Spring Boot. So without any further delay, let's get started. So this is the project we created. Within monolithic, we have defined different module which is called modular monolith. Okay, and which is nothing your Spring Modulith. Now the first question, how will we identify that we are following proper modular structure? So for that, if you remember, we wrote one test case in last example. What we are doing here, we are taking application modules for this particular project and we are verifying all the modules and we are also asking him to generate the documents. Now let's test this once again. You can see here it's succeeded, right? Because so far we have not done any cross module call. Now if you see here, we have just defined each and every individual modules. Now since you have added the Spring Modulith dependency, he can understand, okay, each package defined as a individual modules and there is no cross module call as such. There is no tight coupling between modules. Now how you can make it better? How you can provide modular details in proper way to Spring Modulith? So for that, what you can do, you need to annotate application modules. So there is a annotation offered by Spring Modulith that is called application module, which is a core part of Spring Modulith. It tells to the Spring Modulith to treat that annotated package as a distinct module and generate the document for it, and also validate the dependency to enforce proper modular boundaries. Okay, so how we can define that? You cannot directly add application module annotation in any of the class. So for that, Spring Modulith asks you to define one package info. How you can do that? Simply go to each and every modules, then create a package info, and here on top of this package you can annotation application module. Okay, and you can define the display name, let's say I'll name it. You can define this display name and what name you want to define for your module. Let's say I'll name it allocation module. Okay. Similarly, you need to repeat the step for each and every module. Again, this is optional because Spring Modulith is smart enough. Since you have added the dependency, he will consider each package as a module and he can figure out if you are doing any mistake. If you messed up with the module, he will only slap. No need to customize this. But if you want to add the or if you want to set the boundaries for your modules, you must need to define this particular package info. Okay, I'll come to that point. We'll understand in details what is the role of this application module. Now let's repeat the same in each and every module. So we are good. We define package info in each and every modules. Now what is the next step? We have defined application modules and currently we just define the display name, nothing fancy. Now let's break the flow forcefully. Let's do some cross module call. Then we'll understand how this Spring Modulith is smart enough to validate at runtime. Now let me close everything. Now what we can do, let's go to the entry service. Now here what I want to do on, if you see here, vehicle entry. Now here if you observe, once I get the entry request, if the vehicle entry, immediately I'm inserting one parking entry, then I publish the event. But I want to validate first whether slot is available or not. If only slot available, then I want to keep the parking entry of that particular vehicle. Otherwise, it's stale data for me, isn't it? So what I can do, I'll go to the slot service, then I'll write a method here, slot get next available slot. Okay, get the available slot and I will call this particular method from entry service. See here, this slot allocation present in allocation module and this entry service present in entry module. Now from this entry module I am trying to call the class from the allocation module. Okay, so how can I access that? First let me inject that private slot allocation service. I'll simply do the auto add. Now here in vehicle entry, at first step I'll check if slot allocation service dot get available slot equal to null, then throw some exception, no available slot. If slot is available, then proceed with the inserting that vehicle entry to the parking entry DB and publish the event. Okay, this is what the simple logic I have added. Now this is required because we should not keep the parking entry without having the slot, right? So this logic is correct what we are writing. But what we are doing? We are doing here the cross module call. Now let's run the test case and we'll see whether Spring Modulith is able to identify it or not. Run it again. Can you observe here? Test failed. Now why? What is the reason? Let's check that. So if you see here, what is Spring Framework Modulith core violation? What is that? Module entry, module use field injection, smart parking entry, slot allocation service. Prefer constructor injection. Okay. So what it suggesting? Go to the entry service. Instead of doing field injection, do the constructor injection. Okay. Let's try that out. So it's suggesting to do the constructor injection as part of the Spring Modulith guideline and we did it. Now let's test it again. So if you observe, Spring Modulith is happy now. He didn't cry at this time. Do you know why? Now if you observe, in entry service, still we are doing the cross module call. From entry module, we are directly invoking slot module. But Spring Modulith didn't identify because we need to inform that, okay, this is what the boundary I want to set for my module. If you will not define any boundary for these entry modules, Spring Modulith will assume there is no strict boundary rules, so accessing any other modules is allowed. Now how we can set the boundaries? So that is the reason we have created this package info.java. Now go to the entry and you can see package-info.java. Open it. Now here you need to tell to the Spring Modulith, hey, for my entry modules only allow the dependency. What is the dependency? Allocation. That's it. Here you are restricting or set boundary for your entry modules to allow only allocation modules within that particular modulith scope. Okay. Now if you will try to allow other modules like billing service or notification service, then simply it will fail. Okay. Now let's see. Let's run the code and we'll see. It should work because we set the boundaries. Let's run it and I'll try to explain further. Better, meanwhile I'll name it validate. Now interesting. Now see, what is the error we are getting here? ORG Spring Framework Modulith core violation, module entry depends on module event via this particular thing. Okay, and allowed targets only allocation. So already we set the boundaries for my entry module to allow only allocation call, allocation module API call or allocation module connection. But if you observe in our entry service, this particular vehicle entry also connect to the vehicle entered event, which is part of different module called event. That rule we have not set. So that is the reason Spring Modulith understand, okay, you only allow allocation modules in your entry service. That is what the configuration you provided me. But you are trying to access some different module called event. You tell me whether should I allow that or not. If you want to allow or if you want to set some rule or boundaries for your module, you need to define that. Now I am telling to my Spring Modulith, for entry module, allow these two dependency, allocation and event. Now let's run the test again. We'll see the result. So now if you observe, Spring Modulith is happy. There is no error because we follow the proper modularity. Even though we do cross module call, we set the boundary for our particular module. Okay. So this way you can set strict boundary specific to your module so that there will be no accidental tight coupling or there will be no cross module call which is unknown to the modulith out of the box, isn't it? Now we understand how you can set the boundaries for your modules. Now let's understand how Spring Modulith will generate the architectural documentation for your whole project and how we can validate the behavior of flow, how we can picturize everything at runtime. Okay, so for that what you can do, go to the test class. Already we are generating the documents. Now if you want to customize it, you can do something like this, right? You can ask to generate the plant UML. There are so many options. Okay, you can ask him to generate everything. For now let's keep it simple. You can play with all the methods present in this particular document. For now let's generate the document which will also give you the clear picture of all the flow of your module. Okay, so since we already ran it, I will go to the target folder. Now you will find something called Spring Modulith docs. Okay, just open it and you will find all documents, component PUML, everything you will find. Now let's see the documentation first. Just double click on it. Can you see here? Smart parking system application. Now better I will export it as HTML. Now this is better, right? So application name and the blue mark is your component, which is entry module, allocation module, notification module, billing module and event module. These are the modules we have. Then container boundary. Now, if you see here, this entry modules uses allocation module and events. Entry module depends on the event. Can you see here? Similarly, each and every module listen to this particular event, either vehicle entered event or exit event. That is how we wrote the code. So you will get the clear picture of your module connection at runtime. Now you can see the individual events, packages, each modules, everything. See here. Now in entry module, since we just added the allocation module, you can see the flow of your module. Okay. Now apart from that, this is just a high level picture of your all the modules, and if you want to visualize individual modules, you can get them from here. Now let me open something called this one, components.puml. Okay, just open it. So this is not supported in IntelliJ. I don't have that plugin with me, but if you open this file in some online editor tool, you can again visualize the component connection or your module connection. Okay, you can see all the modules and their dependency, everything is defined in this file. Okay, so this is one another benefits of using Spring Modulith to validate the runtime behavior or to visualize the architectural flow of each and every modules. Okay, now we are good till this point. Now let's try to understand the key benefit of using Spring Modulith. Like if you are using microservices, assume these are individual microservice. You will write individual test case for each and every microservices, right? In monolithic, you need to club everything in one place. But similarly, in Spring Modulith, what you can do, you can write the test case individual to the module, same like microservices. Okay. Now let's say I want to write the billing service test case. What I can do, I'll go to the test package, I'll create something, another package, I'll name the same name, billing. Then I will write the test case for billing module. Similarly, if I want to write the test case for entry, I will create another package and I will write the test case for entry modules. So you also have the option to write modular test case. Write the test case specific to your module. Okay, so let's do one thing. Let's keep it simple. I'll write the test case for billing module. We'll actually publish the event the way we have billing service designed. See here, handle vehicle exit, give the vehicle exit event. Then what it does, it simply evaluate the duration and some amount, 50 rupees per hour, then it simply saved to the DV. Okay, this is what the simple logic we are doing in this billing service. Now let's write the test case, modular test for this particular module. So what I'll do, I'll simply go to the billing and I'll create a Java class. I'll name it billing service test. Then next, simply annotate this as a application module test. Okay, application module test. Now you can also define transactional, which is not mandatory. Better let's not define it since we are not using any transactional logic. Next, you need to clear the test context after every run. Okay, so you can define that is context. Now in billing service, what all things we need? We need billing record repository and we need application event. Correct? So for that, what we can do? Go to the billing service test. I'll write a method here. Void should generate billing record on vehicle exit event. Something like this. Billing record on vehicle exit. So it already added test case for me. I'll not use it. I'll write it from the scratch. My AI is smart enough. What I'm writing, he's already giving the code by reading the method name. I didn't added any fancy plugin and all. I am using the GitHub Copilot free version and IntelliJ AI. Okay, that is how it is generating the code for me. Now I'll annotate this at the rate test. So what we need? We need application event publisher and billing record repository, right? So just inject those two class. Private application event publisher, where it went. And what we need? We need private billing record repository. Simply I will just annotate using AutoAdd. That is fine because this is my test class. I'm not going to write the mock test here. I'm writing the actual integration test by AutoAdd the bin. I will do the actual call to this DB. Okay. Later I will explain how you can make it better. But for now, let's write the straightforward approach. Now, what is the input for this billing service? Vehicle exited event, right? So let's create a event first. Vehicle exited event, something like this. So instead of string, we'll do one thing. We'll give the local date time now, and I will calculate the bill after 2 hours. So let's consider the exit time. Local date time dot now plus 2 hour. So per hour 50 means 2 hour 100 rupees, something like that. Okay, this is just a test data. Don't go with this. Now what next? Once you have the event, we already inject the event publisher. We need to publish that event. Once we publish that event, then we need to validate in our DV. Since what it will happen when we will publish the event will come to this particular handle exit method. Then it will calculate the amount because already we are giving the time and all. Okay, then it will simply save to our DV, billing record repository DV. So what we need to validate here? We need to validate that particular repository have more than one record because this will hit our actual DV, which is not valid, I know, but let's test it. Then you can segregate it to the H2 DV or you can use the test container. That approach already I explained. I'll share the link in video description if anyone not aware about it. Okay. So what I'll do? Billing record do find all. It should give more than one record. Okay, that is what we're trying to assert. Now I'll simply assert records or billing records. What do we have defined? Billing records, right? Billing records has greater than. Okay. So since it will hit my actual DV, already you have the record. I'm just checking whether it is greater than one or not. Or even if you want, you can validate this particular vehicle is exit on this particular records or not. Let's do that. Just do the filter. Okay. So vehicle number you can get it from the event dot vehicle number, and you want to validate with the same vehicle number. Now you can also assert the amount. It should be greater than 20, and exit time, it's not exit time, only exit, not get exit. Okay, record as the billing times, right? Billing time will be the same as your exit time. Okay, so I believe all good. You can also change the parameter and test. So it should be 50, but if you want we can validate that, but it's fine. Okay, we are just checking greater than 20. Now let me run this test, and again I am repeating, this is not recommended. See, I am directly calling the database which will hit my actual DV. In production, if I'll run the test case, it's gone. My manager will dance definitely. Okay, so let's not do that. You know how to write the test case using H2DV. For this specific test case, you can create separate application.yml in the test scope defining the H2, and instead of defining this billing record repository, create a separate repository using H2 and use that directly. Okay, so it's very simple guys. I don't want to extend this video by writing the test case, so that is the reason I'm not doing it, but I will share the link in description. You can modify this test case and you can happily run it. Now let's run the test case and we'll see whether it is working or not. Can you see here? It evaluated the amount as 100. So you could also assert 100 directly, and this is what the entry inserted to your DB. Now if I'll check the DB billing records, can you see here? Why the format is not correct? Okay, anyway, it's fine. You can see the record here, right? 100 rupees, this is the vehicle, and this is the timestamp, billing time. But thing is that we are able to write the modular testing, writing test for individual module. Similar way, you can write the test case for entry module, notification, billing, allocation, everything. Okay. So this way you can validate the flow of that specific module, whether things is working or not. So you can try exploring more on Spring Modulith, try exploring and doing some more validation on it. That's it for the today. I hope this helped you understand how Spring Modulith brings structure and sanity to your monolithic application. Okay, so if you enjoy this video or learn something new, give it a subscribe if you have not already, and let me know your thoughts in a comments. Until then, keep coding, keep learning. We'll see you in the next video.